Hello, everyone. Let's get started. My name is Anne Kling. I'm the manager of the collection databases here at Cincinnati Museum Center. Today, I'm going to give you a brief look at some of the terrific resources we have available on our library's website. I'm new to doing Zoom presentations, so I hope I can navigate all the technical aspects here. I'd like to start by sharing my screen with you. Let me call that up. All right, I hope you can see that. Again, my name is Anne Kling, and you may not know it, but Cincinnati Museum Center has a library. The library is called the Cincinnati History Library and Archives. This is a photo of our lovely space. We're located on the mezzanine level at Cincinnati Museum Center. The library comes to us from the Cincinnati Historical Society. Now, the society was founded in 1831, so the library goes back a good ways. Today, the library focuses on the history of the greater Cincinnati area. So that would cover the city of Cincinnati and all of the other communities in Hamilton County. Also, Butler, Warren, and Claremont counties, Northern Kentucky, and Southeast Indiana. Before I go any further, I want to make sure you have the URL for our website. It's library.cincymuseum.org, or you can just go to Google and Google our name, Cincinnati History, Library, and Archives. Now here's a screenshot of our library's homepage. It's probably too small for you to read, but in a few minutes I'll just be moving out to a browser and we'll go out to the website and take a look at it. But I just wanted to point out that I'm going to be looking at some of the links along the right-hand side here. That first grouping of links on the right are the databases that we have available. We have 7 databases online. The second grouping on the right are the online exhibits, and the grouping at the lower right are the research resources. Because of our limited time today, I'm hoping just to show you maybe 2 items in each of those 3 groups. The first thing that I want to talk to you about is the Digital Journals database. Now, this is a wonderful, wonderful resource if you're interested in Cincinnati history. It's made up of 7 different journals, and these were published by the Cincinnati Historical Society, the Cincinnati Museum of Natural History, and also by Cincinnati Museum Center. The first 5 journals that you see on your screen focus on history topics, and the last 2 focus on natural history topics. Now this is what a few of the issues look like. In 2005 and 2006, we had a digitization project where we scanned all of these issues from these 7 journals and put them online. So now we have over 25,000 pages of text and also images available for you to see. All right, now I think I'm going to switch over to the internet and we'll take a look at this. Hold on one second. Here we go. There we go. I hope you can see that there. That's the home page of the library's website. So the digital journals is this second link on the right-hand side. You click on that, and then underneath the heading is another link, search or browse journals. That will bring you to our basic web search screen. So say, for example, maybe you're interested in the Ohio River and maybe steamboats, things like that. So let's put in steamboat here. Oops. And do a search. Now this database is full text searchable, so it's going to search the title, the author, subjects, and the entire text of the articles. So under each, well, this brought up 292 items. Under each of these articles, there's some basic information about the author and how long the article is, but you're going to mostly be interested in these 3 links below these articles. And these 3 links are just the same article, just presented in different formats. The link on the left is a PDF. The one in the middle are kind of like JPEG thumbnails that you can click on and expand. And the one on the right is just plain text, no formatting, just plain old text. So most people are going to be interested in the PDF here on the left. So let's click on that. Now, when you're in the database itself, and then you click on a PDF, the PDF will open in a new tab on your browser. So when you're ready to go back and search, you'll want to go back to the other tab where the search screen was. So here's a very nice article about steamboats and a company that began by constructing steamboats. Has some nice illustrations. Now, like every other PDF on the internet, you're able to download it. I'm using Chrome right now, so the link is in the upper right-hand corner. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. I actually would recommend that you download the PDFs because then you can save it, to your computer, read it at your leisure, print it out, whichever. Actually, when you're in our databases, it will time you out if you're inactive for more than 30 minutes. Kind of like if you do online banking, your banks will time you out. So this is a 15-page article, so it might take you a little while to read that. So again, it might be better just to download it and then read it at your own leisure. So let's see, if we're going to go back and do another search, we're going to go back to the first tab. And on the left-hand side, it says Search Browse. That takes us back to the search screen. Now, in this database, we have an advanced search screen. That's another link on the left here. And that gives you some other boxes to use, like if you want a term to be found in the title or the author or the subject field. Maybe if you want to narrow it down, you don't want to search maybe every word in the article, but just have articles that are more focused on a certain topic. So let's say maybe you're interested in finding out something about William Howard Taft, the president who came from Cincinnati. So let's put him in here. Now, if you're going to search multiple words that you want searched as a string, you'll want to put it in quotation marks. Also, the capitalization, that doesn't matter for our database. So we do a search. So that brought up 4 different articles where William Howard Taft is mentioned in the title. Let's see, another thing you can do, go back to the search browse screen and scroll down a little bit. These are our browse links, and each of these links will bring up one of those 7 journals, the entire journal, every issue from the first one to the last one, sorted in chronological order. This is another good way to browse if you don't have any particular topic in mind and you just want to kind of poke around and see what is available. You'll see some of these journals, covered a wide range of years or even decades. And so the system will bring up every article, but sometimes for these ones that cover a lot of years, the system can take a couple seconds to bring that up. So let's try clicking on one of the shorter ones, maybe Ohio Valley History. Let's see if that comes up. There we are. Oops. Let's jump down to one of these. Here's one. Here's one. This is the issue from summer of 2004 of Ohio Valley History. It starts with the front matter. That's the front cover in the first couple pages. And then it goes through all the different articles in this journal, this issue. And then ends with the end matter, which is the last couple pages in the back cover. So it's basically like in a virtual way, like you're holding the issue in your hand and you can browse through it from the front to the back of the issue. Another time when this might be helpful is if you find an article in a search that you really like on a topic that you're interested in. Maybe you would like to see what other articles appeared in that issue. Maybe there were other articles on that topic, or maybe it was mentioned in the introduction or some other part of the issue. So again, it's sort of like you're holding it in your hand and you can come and kind of browse through that whole issue. One last thing I want to mention before we leave the digital journals is again that 2 of the journals that are digitized here are natural history journals. So if you're interested in topics like Indian mounds or birds or the Ice Age, you can also find some articles from those journals also, those topics also. So let's say if we are interested maybe in the Ice Age, and put that in and do a search. That brought up 6 items. Like here's one about mastodon remains that were found in Ohio. Now, since we're still in the database, when it brings up the new PDF, it puts it in the same tab as the previous one. So you might have noticed there that the steamboat article went away and now we have this new article here. And again, like before, you can download it and take a look at it. All right, let's go back and we'll look at another one, another database. Click exit on the left-hand side. And now I'd like to show you the photo database. Now we have a really tremendous photograph collection at the library. It's estimated we might have even as much as 1 million photos. That would be photos and slides and negatives. And so this database right now has about 7,200 photos cataloged in it. So really that's just, the tip of the iceberg. So if you're looking for something really specific for a project or a book or some kind of work you're doing, or just an area that you're interested in, if you're not able to find it in the database, don't give up hope. When we reopen again, feel free to contact us and we'll try to take a look and see if we can find the item that you're looking for. Just because you can't find it in this database or even any of our other databases, that doesn't mean that we don't have it. We just don't have everything online yet. So let's say if here, maybe we search maybe for a part of town. Let's do Westwood. So that brought up 9 items. A lot of these are photos of buildings in Westwood. If you click on these blue links for the title, that'll take you to a little bit larger description about the image you're looking at. Under the thumbnail image on the right, there's a link that pulls up a larger photo for you. Also, these other blue links are subject links. So if you click on them, it'll run a new search. Say we're interested now just in any types of architecture. So that runs a new search, replaces your old search. That brought up over 100 items. And again, you can take a look at these nice items. Here. Oh, another thing I want to mention, on some of our search screens, like here on the right, we have these other buttons, list of titles, list of subjects, and this is another way to browse. You're basically looking at the index of all the terms that are used in that field. Then there is arranged alphabetically because it's an index. You can page up and page down using these buttons, or you can also jump to a certain part of the alphabet. Say if we want to jump to the FLO part of the alphabet, then click this button, show list near. So now we're in the part of the alphabet about floods and Florence. And then you can, if you find subjects that you're interested in, you can check those off and then click the select items button. And so that pulls those subjects that you just selected and puts it into your search screen in the correct box. And then you just click search and it runs that search. So here's some nice photos of some floods that we've had in Cincinnati. A lot of people are familiar with the 1937 flood, but the 1945 flood was also a pretty severe flood. You can call up these aerial shots and take a look at those. I also know that we have some portraits available in our database, not just all buildings and outdoor shots. So if you enter portrait here in the search box, here's some very interesting portraits. A number of these portraits were done by a photographer named J.P. Ball, like this one here. He was here in the 1850s and 1860s in Cincinnati. Here's a cute little boy, this photo. The curator here was here when we were putting these online, did a real nice description of a lot of these photos of what the individual is wearing. And then if possible, if the photo was identified, she also did some research on the person, their biographical information to find out, what did this person do in their life? What kind of occupation did they have? So that's very interesting to have that extra information about these individuals. So let me move on now. The other databases, you're welcome, to please come back and take a look at these other databases. The first one is the library catalog. If you remember the old card catalog, we still have a card catalog in our library, but the cards would give very basic information about a book, like the author and the title and subjects and number of pages, things like that. That's what the library catalog is. This link for archives and manuscripts, this will take you to a database that calls up some of our finding aids for our archival collections. I think we're approaching maybe 400 collections in this database right now. Again, that's just like the tip of the iceberg. So again, if you can't find the materials you're looking for, please contact us and we'll take a look in our card catalog and our other finding aids. This one called Index to Local History Resources, that's basically it's index terms basically from the back of a book. What we did is we went to multiple basic Cincinnati history books that we use a lot and took the index terms out of the back of the book and put them all together in this database. So the database here has over 70,000 entries. And when you search it, all it does is it tells you the book and the page that that term showed up on. So it's kind of like a quick search through multiple reference books all at once. This other link, the Ohio Civil War Monuments, this was a project we did back in, I don't know, 2003 or 2004. We had a few staff members and some volunteers that went throughout the state of Ohio and tried to catalog all of the monuments, honoring those who served during the Civil War. So that's kind of interesting, not the typical thing you usually find on a library's website. So next, let's move on to some of the online exhibits. First, I want to show you this one called From Seed to Flower. And this is an online exhibit showing some of our botanical collection. These items were collected by a gentleman by the name of Cornelius Houck. Mr. Houck and his wife lived here in Cincinnati. They had a nice piece of property in town, and they became very interested in gardening and landscape architecture and parks and the environment. So while they were getting all involved in this hobby of theirs, they started collecting books dealing with gardening so they could be more educated about it. So in the end, they collected about 4,000 books, pamphlets, and other materials all about gardening and the environment. And in the 1960s, they donated it to the Cincinnati Historical Society. And that's why we have it today. But what's particularly interesting in this collection is that some of the books they collected were very old books, very early, very rare books. So we're highlighting 11 of them in this online exhibit, because these are not the kind of things that we just pull out any day to show anybody. So instead of pulling them out to show you, we're showing it to you here online. So one of these items here has a very interesting cover, interesting leather cover with these latches on it. This one, for example, was published in 1845. You may know that Cincinnati was founded in 1788. So most of our Cincinnati stuff starts in the late 1700s. So this is an unusual item for us to have something so early. It also has some illustrations. This one, for example, is a mandrake. I don't know if you're familiar with a mandrake. Maybe if you're a Harry Potter fan, you might have remember a scene in one of the movies when they're in a greenhouse working with the mandrakes. There was a superstition, well, apparently the way the roots are gnarled, and when you pull it out of the ground, you can use your imagination and imagine that it looks like a person. That's why this one's drawn like this. But there was a superstition that when you pull a mandrake out of the ground, that the root will scream at you. And if you hear it screaming, it'll kill you. So I don't really know if that's true or not. I've never really tried that. Maybe I shouldn't try it. A mandrake. There's some other books on this exhibit that have some very lovely color illustrations. This is a book of lilies. This is an amaryllis. So some really, really beautiful items. Another way to navigate through this online exhibit is this link on the left-hand side called Image Gallery. This is where I took all of the image of all the items in this exhibit and made thumbnails and put them all together on this page. So you can quickly browse through here and see if something, looks interesting that you'd like to take a look at. And then you can just click directly on it and go right to the image or right to that page. So just another easy way to navigate. Another online exhibit that I want to show you is the Lincoln Originals exhibit. And this is also kind of like the botanical one. These are some very rare items. I believe we have 13 documents where either Lincoln signed his name or he wrote the entire document and signed his name. So this is a way that we can, share it with everyone online. We have the items arranged by year on the left-hand side here. So you click on a year, and first we give you a few items, a few events from that year to kind of give a context for what was going on. And then when you scroll down, there's the letters. There's also a couple illustrations and other things relating to Lincoln that we have in this exhibit. When you click on an individual item, we start off with a little overview of what the item was or the people involved in this letter or this document. And then we have a transcription of the letter. Now this is one that Lincoln wrote entirely in his hand and signed it. And then at the bottom we did a transcript, because sometimes this older handwriting is a little more difficult to read. Now one of the items here is really spectacular. Well, of course, this is all spectacular because it's all, Lincoln, it's all very rare and spectacular. But one of our very special items is this amnesty proclamation. It's a cool item, and it also has a neat story that goes with it. In December of 1863, Lincoln released this proclamation about amnesty and Reconstruction. And in it, he talks about how the citizens in the states in the South could eventually re-enter the US following the Civil War. But also that same month in Cincinnati, there was going to be an event called the Great Western Sanitary Fair. And this was a fundraiser. It was going to be an auction to raise money for hospitals that were caring for the Union soldiers and sailors that were sick and wounded. So one of the senators from Ohio went to Abraham Lincoln and asked if he would donate his draft of this proclamation so they could auction it off. So Lincoln was okay with that, but he thought his first draft was not in the greatest shape. So he offered to rewrite the whole thing himself. So that's what he did, and that's what we have here. It was, it came to Cincinnati, it was auctioned, and then in 1906, the person who was owning it at that point, the owner, donated it to the society. So it's been part of our library since 1906. It's a 5-page document. This is the first page, and again, it's completely written by Lincoln in his own hand. And below each page, we have the transcription. And the links on the right-hand side can jump you through the different pages. Here's the last page where he, wraps it up and then signs it. Another interesting item that came along with this document was we also have the letter from the senator. When the senator mailed the document back to Cincinnati, he had a letter with it. And in this letter, he describes how he went to the president and asked for the draft of this proclamation and how Lincoln decided to rewrite the whole thing out again. So that's why we have this great story that goes along with it, the whole provenance of how this document came about. Okay, also like the botanical exhibit, I have a link here on the left. This is the complete list link. And this is where I've listed all of the items again in this exhibit that you can take a look at. And then below there is a very detailed bibliography where I've listed books and manuscript collections and newspaper articles, all sorts of things. So if you're interested in doing a very detailed research about Lincoln, that can give you a head start showing you this kind of materials that we have. A couple more items to show you quickly. This guide to African American resources. Again, this is another effort for us to make our material more visible to the public. It's arranged by topics. When you select one of them, you'll see some are talking about specific items, like this one is a thesis. This one's a manuscript collection. But we also highlight individuals and organizations related to these topics. So here's a little thing about Ted Berry. He was the first African-American mayor of Cincinnati. Or like down here is the Metropolitan Housing Authority. When you click on, when you see some of these individuals and organizations, there's a link called More Information. When you click on that, it'll take you to another page. And now on this page, we've done a historical sketch about the person or the organization. Because our thinking on this was that some people probably will never come to the library, but they're still interested in these topics. So we're trying to give you kind of a brief overview of the person, organization, some reliable information, because a lot of students will come and use these pages, for example. And again, at the bottom, we have a brief bibliography highlighting some of the materials that we have about that specific person or organization. Again, for the researcher who might want to come to the library and do some research, they'll have an idea of where to get started. We also have an index, alphabetical index. And below that, I also created a chronological index where I've taken the individuals, organizations, and the resources and have arranged them kind of chronologically. So if you're interested in a particular time period, it can kind of help you direct you to the right people and resources. All right. One last thing I want to show you quickly is down here on the lower right is another link called Popular Topics. And again, these are obviously popular topics that people ask us about all the time. And these links basically, again, are little bibliographies focusing on articles from the digital journals that I showed you earlier. And so there's a link to the PDF, but I just pulled out some of the articles and kind of sorted them by topic. Of course, this doesn't cover all our books, all our photo collections and manuscript collections. It just gives you a taste of the type of materials that we have and the wide range of topics that we have available. So that's the popular topics. I hope to be adding some more topics to this and more materials in each of these bibliographies. But it's just, again, another way to try to browse and kind of become aware of the materials that we have available. All right, I hope that has been a interesting overview for you of our library and the library resources. Again, I hope you come back soon and check out these resources and the others that we have online. As you know, right now we're closed because of the coronavirus. But if you've enjoyed this presentation or any of our other presentations, we would really, appreciate it if you would, maybe purchase a membership or renew your membership, or maybe make a donation to the organization. One of the quick and easy ways of doing that from the library website is to click on the CMC logo here. That will take you over to the main CMC website. And in the top center here is a link to membership. And in the top right is a link called donate. Again, if you have any interest of maybe becoming a member or making a financial contribution, we would definitely appreciate it. But if not, that's fine too. We hope that when we reopen that you can come back and visit our museums and the OmniMax, and that you'll also come and visit the library. Again, thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye.